their parents' school, know about the things that were going on around them and all of that. Immediately after I left one of those programs, I started doing a survey, and I realized that year seven, the first year to secondary school, was actually an introduction and an immersion into a big world that we aren't that these young people aren't prepared for. If you find a year 7 and year 8 that all of a sudden has a friend in year 11, if you see the excitement in their voice, even my kids, when they now have a friend in year 11, they say, oh, I have a senior that is now my friend. I want you to know that that connection in itself, it's an opportunity for influence. And so when we, which I'm going to talk more about that, but this one of these meetings with my special girls, these girls now, they're in the university, they are close to my heart, my amazing girls, was the birth of something. And that was when I birthed the 10 going on 13 program. And it's gone full circle. I have two boys, I remember my first boy here. My first boy is carrying a plague. He just finished his year 9, and he had the best result in his school. It was a proud moment for me in his checkpoint, and he was giving that award. And I have this, my second son here. And I remember when I was taking them to secondary school, when they were going secondary school, it was a very, very special moment for me, because I was taking that decision close to heart. The kind of school they were going to. I remember that my first son was supposed to go to one of the biggest schools in Lagos, and I knew that he wasn't ready for that kind of environment, and I put him in a school I thought that he could thrive through, and so and my second son just finished year 7 in year 8, and 10 going on 13 was a program both of them went through. And the impact of that program for me is a full circle moment for me, because I can personally share the experience of the program I started and how it has impacted my personal life. So without a doubt, this program has become a gift. So you may not be able to see this particular lecture here, but it's a parent that sent it to me. Our son goes to Day Waterman, and within how many weeks in year 7, she sent me this note and said that our son was chosen as one of the best behaved students in the entire school. And I have some other testimonials. So that 10 going on 13, the program I started years back, has become one of the best gifts I've given to myself and also to my parents. So it is with a great sense of responsibility I hold this masterclass to share with us not just about the program, but to share with us how important the pre-teen years are, and the tools that we need to engage now, so that we can be at that phase. We don't have to be partake of the teenage drama that a lot of parents go through. I don't want us to be there. So a quick housekeeping. I want us to be clear on why we are hanging out with me today, and I want you to stay through to it. So I want us to pay close attention. Give me the next hour. Within the next hour, we'll be done. If you can stay in a quiet place, if you can get some of your journals, if you have questions, just note it down. But I want you to just follow me through this masterclass. I'll be taking questions at the end of the masterclass, and it's okay to go personal. If you have any questions at all, I'll be able to go nitty-gritty. And at the end of this masterclass, I'm going to tell you more about 10 going on 13, the amazing gift I created that a lot of parents are still raving about. So you are in the right room, definitely, because you have a preteen, ages 10 to 12. You are sending them off to secondary school soon, and you are keen on preparing them for the next phase of adolescence. Let me tell you something. Not all parents are here. A lot of parents already have children. Maybe this is their last born. They've had 3 children, and so this is just their last one, and they just feel, just like before, we'll do it again. There are some parents like that, and so they don't find this really, really important. But you are here because you really take this to heart, and I want to celebrate you. And if you are here, You are sending off your child to year 7, even though she's the last born of your 5 children. I want to celebrate you because every child has a unique journey, and it is important we tailor our parenting to on a personal level. So if you are here, I want to celebrate you one more time. Now let's go. Why is this important? This conversation is very important because the world we grew up in is no more. Absolutely no more. The vices out there, even the impact of vastness of information, the social media, it has made the world really, really change. 2019, when COVID happened, changed our world, right? So the world we grew up in is no more, and so we need something different. We need new set of tools that will help us to engage and raise the kind of children we want. And the goal also isn't just to raise good children who tick the boxes of the society. When you send children to school and they come out with the plagues, that's just part of it. That's not all we want. We really want to raise children that are aligned with our values, who have the tools to navigate themselves, not just the world, but themselves and then the real world. And this conversation is also important because we want to avoid what we call catch-up parenting or emergency parenting, where you have just overlooked certain things and all of a sudden you have to do catch-up or you have to do emergency parenting because you have not parented right within a parenting phase. So this is why I find this masterclass extremely important, and I hope that you share the same with me. So here are my goals in this masterclass. I'm going to discuss the importance of the preteen phase and also the 8 parenting phases. I'm also going to share why a head start is important and what it means. I will also share a busy parent's guide to preparing their preteen for their next phase and the must-have tools for your teen. So these are my goals for this class. Are you ready? Yes, we're about to dive in. I think that was a mouthful. Just introducing myself and why I consider this a course that is close to my heart. But right now, I want us to talk about the preteen phase. The preteen phase. The preteen phase are the ages 9 to 12. Yeah. So I work with 10 to 12, but ideally, from the ages of 9 to 10, you already find some changes going on with your child such that they begin to get ready for that big teenage phase. The preteen phase also precedes the teenage phase, and big changes already occur in this phase. So I know that some people are waiting for when their child sees if you're a girl, some parents wait for when their child sees their menstrual period. I remember that when I saw my menstrual period and I told my mom killed a chicken for me. I will never forget that. I say it everywhere, that my mom killed a chicken for me when I saw my menstrual period, my first show. And she told me that I am now a woman, with some pep talk. But I can't remember all the pep talk she gave me, but I remember the chicken very, very clearly. Yeah. And so for some people, they wait till that time. For some people, they wait till the time when their child becomes 13 and they say, yay, you are now a teenager. Yeah. Some people just wait until that time. Some people wait until when their teenager begins to show that I am now an old person. And they begin to tell them, Mommy, I'm no more a baby. I'm no more a baby. Some parents wait till that time. But guess what? The changes that happen with your child does not wait till that time. Within the ages of 9 to 12, which I'll be unfolding shortly, a lot of changes already happen. And young people, your child, they're already adapting to these changes. Now, I want you to pay attention. I want to talk about the 8 phases of parenting. This is a signature parenting phase that I teach. And I may not be able to go deep down into it, but I want to bring in that one phase, the preteen phase, where it shows there are unique 8 phases. This signature 8 phases, I teach it in a lot of my programs. The first phase, which is when your child is born, between the ages 0 to 3 is called the meet me phase. And that is the phase where a parent needs to focus and find out who a child is. You know, the excitement you have when you want to give birth to when you give birth to a child, you know, and you want to, is it a boy, is it a girl, or the excitement you have when you give birth to a child is the same excitement and curiosity that you need to have through the 0 to 3 ages. Why? Because that child is in the rawest state, and in that state they begin to show you their natural profiling and tendency. If you pay attention to this phase, your child is going to tell you, this is who I am. And you would have met your child, and you will take note of very, very key things about your child. It's also an overflow. It doesn't stop at 3 years. Most of these phases have an overflow, but at the beginning of these phases you need to pay attention to them. The second phase is the connect phase, and this connect phase is where a child matches a feeling, a sense of safety, a sense of love to a person. You know, that is why when a child knows that, oh, this is my mom and this is what my mom does to make me feel loved, this stage is extremely important. I remember a girl that I worked with that had a very, very, very sore relationship with her mom. And when she started talking to me, she said that mom was so busy, and she remembered that at 5, when all the parents, you know, came to their school for maybe a presentation, the mom was not available, and that was the beginning of the divide in their relationship. Connection important. The third phase is structure phase. I wish I can dive into all of this, but I really, really can't because of time. The third phase is structure phase, and this is when you need to begin to put in certain structure that matches who your child is, that matches your value, that matches your vision. You need to have the right structure, that you need to put in the right structure, because this is the easiest time to put your child in the mold that you desire. The next phase is the model / show me. This is where a child is looking for an example to actually see, right? And the next phase, which is the fifth phase, is the teenage phase. So this phase is the 10 to 13 phase, but I have put in the +1 phase, which is the pre-teen phase. And this is the phase where a child from that is 10 years old is transiting into the teenage phase. And shortly I'm going to be telling you why this phase is one of the most important phase, even though it is overlooked. Then we have the fifth phase, and that's a teenage phase. When your child becomes a teenager, then your conversation must change. That's about 10 going to 13. Your conversation must change. The meaning of connection changes for your teenager at that time. You have to restructure, because at this stage your child is coming into a different environment. You are giving them access, you are giving them power, you are giving them more control, so you need a new set of structuring. Then the sixth stage is the guide coach stage. The last stage is the cheer and support stage, and for some parents it is the fixing stage. So some parents that overlook this stage, all of a sudden they now have children that are 17, 18, 19, 20, even above, and they now want to fix their problems. Yeah, so it can be a fixing stage for parents that have overlooked this stage. So I've just run through this. I wish there will be another opportunity, or I give you resources so that we can dive into these phases. But I want to talk about the preteen stage. The preteen stage is that stage where your child is 10, 11, and they are now going into a new environment. So the people in this class right now, in the next 2 months, your child is going to go into a bigger environment. Most secondary schools are bigger than primary schools. And we find out that a lot of children actually struggle, even if they don't see. What do they struggle with? There are some children that they are very smart. You know, they've always been called smart in their primary school, and all of a sudden they get into a bigger environment and they are finding their feet. So academically, you know, sometimes first term everybody is cruising, but at the end of second term, first term, second term, third term, they begin to feel that struggle. Some children as well have social emotional needs that are not met, and so sometimes you find some children that lose their confidence when they come into the bigger environment. And you also need to know that bigger environments mean bigger influences and bigger challenges. One of the things that I realized was when my child went into secondary school, um, all of a sudden there were so many people, because it is from GSS 1 to SS3. So my son will come home and say, Mommy, somebody used the F word, and I reported. I told the teacher and I told my principal, please don't tell them I said so. Somebody used the B word. Somebody did this. And my classmates, I remember my last son, my second son that is just transited from year 7, he will come home and tell me that, Mommy, can I tell you anything? And he will just say very, very deeply sexual things that they were saying in their class. So because it's a new phase and you are bringing children from different schools, yes, they are smart, but they now come in different schools, different environment, different value system. They now come into secondary school and you realize that you are dealing with another kettle of fish. Why? Because your child is now in a bigger environment. Apart from the changes that they are going through in their bodies, in their mind, they are now exposed to bigger influences and bigger challenges. Because of the changes in their body they are going through as well, some children become less confident. So you find some child, all of a sudden they were a size 0 and they now go to size 12, and they now become so self-conscious in that space where they lose their confidence. There is a lot of comparison that happens in secondary school. Children, I remember my son coming home one day and saying, Mommy, somebody told me that is my trainer's original. Is my trainer's original. And so these are what happens because a school is a social environment where high socialization take place. So this is the reality of what our children are coming into. And so yes, they are going to be doing 13 subjects, they are going to have their times and busy times, but let me tell you something, the socialization, the interaction, the influences that goes on in secondary school, it's not child's play. Now, they are also building their ecosystem. Now, this is when your competitors are coming to play. When I say your competitors, your children will now be choosing their own ecosystem, their own friends, their peers. And sometimes you don't know that the issue you are dealing with is because of another child. I remember my son one day comes home to say that my friend Blossom got 76 in chemistry, and their parents bought her pizza. And Miss Cho was implying and telling me that I'm getting higher scores. What's happening here? Right? So you see that your children are building their ecosystem, their peers, people that they like, and people that they are given permission to influence them. These are the preteen stages, right? Now, and these are things that are happening. They are happening by default. So you realize that after this exposure, your child begins to be defined by these influences. How do you know? Their language. They begin to say more slangs. They are exposed to social media. They're exposed to technology. Oh, don't get me started on that. They are exposed to technology. Their language begins to change. Their language changes. They learn more songs. All of a sudden, the messaging word that they are singing at home, they start learning more songs. And sometimes in some schools, they expose them to different songs, right? These are the reality. And this is the beginning of the change that climaxes at the teenage years. So your child is now going to be defined by these influences. And now they begin to build a new identity and value system. They will tell you that I like this, I don't like this. Why? Because it is a natural progression, but it's also a function of the ecosystem that they are constantly engaged with. And that constant engagement results in new identity and a new value system. And now they begin to make their own choices by default. From the preteen stage, your child goes to school, doesn't recurse to you. They begin to make their choices, how they respond to a teacher, how they respond academically. All of this is happening at the preteen stage. Now, do we have a deeper sense of what is going on with our children? Let us get practical. I want you to tell me in the chat room, how does this sound? How does this sound? Please go to the chat room. And how does this sound? How does this sound? How does this sound? Thank you. We are ready. It is exciting. A lot of things to learn. All right. Please, how does this sound? How does this sound? Now think about your child. How does this sound? And these are the things your child. This is the reality. I'm not. Trust me. I'm not scaring you. I'm not. This is just the reality. So how does this sound? How does this sound? Yeah. Right. So let's keep it going. And I remember a parent about last year, she called me and she said, my daughter was very confident. In fact, she was the head girl in her primary school. But when she got into secondary school, she changed. Now she's writing her final papers and I can see an anxious girl and she's never herself anymore. This was a parent's experience to me. Unfortunately, she waited until the child was in SS3. Maybe she was in a boarding school. And she said, my daughter has changed. My daughter has changed. She used to be very, very confident. I'll tell you a more personal story. I went to pick my son about last week in their school. And so they had finished the exam. So it was really like parents were like quiet. I mean, they were actually doing I think fine art. So I went to school to pick my son, and when I picked him, I saw him and his classmates, some of his classmates. They were just they were having fun. They were all together. Some of them were with their phones. I was just looking. Then I turned my back, and I saw a boy, and it was just really quiet where he was, and I was wondering why he wasn't with his friends. And so I leaned down. I think I got into my coach moment. And I asked him, are you okay? And he said, no. I said, what is it? Is it that they don't want you to stay with them or something? And he said, they want to cyberbully me. And I looked and I said, cyberbully, are you online? Do you have an account online? He said, no. He said, they want to take my picture, but I don't want them to take my picture. Then I asked him, did you tell them no? And immediately I asked that question, he sank. I was shocked. I was like, why wouldn't you use the power of your voice? I was very disturbed. So I said, immediately I gave him like 3 compliments because I've heard him speak. He's an orator. His accent and his phonetics were very, very clean. He speaks very well. And I said, do you know that your voice is your superpower? How come you wouldn't use your voice? I started telling him every time I had come to their school, he's always in his full uniform. His jacket, his tie, always put together. So I tell him, do you know you're very put together? And immediately I said something to pump him up. But I saw his hands as a sunk in. They were very fidgety. Let me tell you the truth. I got pain in my heart and I said to myself, what school will raise a timid 14-year-old? Why will a child stay in a school environment for over 10 years, if that child has started from primary school, and I am looking at a 14-year-old that has lost the power of their voice, the power of expression, the gift, the natural gift of expression, the power of advocacy, self-advocacy at the age of 14, and when they write in their report card, they will say he is quiet. That is not quiet. That is a red flag. That is something that requires an urgency. Fortunately, I just started speaking to the mom. I walked down the corridor. I saw the mom, and I was like, no, this is not right. We need to work with your son. And the mom said, oh yeah, he's so quiet. I want to take him to a public speaking. I said, no, that's not public speaking. Public speaking is a tool that we use, but public speaking will not unearth the beneath, the issues beneath. Why has he lost his voice? Why is he timid? What environment has put something in his chest, in his heart? How is he seeing himself? And so these are experiences that happen in secondary school, where people are bullied, where people sometimes, you just see that you are different from your friends. And all of a sudden, you begin to look small. I will never forget a girl I worked with. And she told me, unfortunately, she and her younger sister in the same class, she told me that a teacher told her that there's no need to ask you this question. You wouldn't know it. No, Seth is not like that. Don't worry. But these are realities of what pre-teens go through. All of a sudden, we throw them into a world that they need to either survive or cow. Let me tell you what the statistics says. Statistics show that 80% of girls experience a dip in confidence from the age of 9, which has a significant toll on how they see themselves and the quality of decisions they make. Have you noticed that you have a girl that is 4 years, that is 5 years, that is 6 years, that is all chatty, that can ask you questions, and as soon as they begin to get into that preteen stage, it's as if they begin to lose their voice. Why? Because they are actually mingling, socializing, engaging with a system that is shushing them. Sometimes parents are the one doing the shushing. I remember one of my workshops, every time I hold a workshop, even the 10 going on 13, you will fill a form first. And one parent told me he talks too much. And so we actually get ourselves, because there is a lot of comparison. A child that speaks a lot gets into a class with people that don't speak, all of a sudden, because there are different people, there is a higher chance of comparison, and all of a sudden your child begins to lose their uniqueness, their sense of identity. 7 in 10 people believe they are not good enough or don't measure up in some way, including their looks, performance in school, and relationship with friends and family friends. Preteens, boys and girls, worry about how they fit in with friends, not doing well in school, fighting in their family, and can trigger down to drug or alcohol use, isolation, and a mental breakdown. These are things that happen every day. The reason is that sometimes we don't see it because we are not trained to see it. But every time somebody is saying something that can chip down a child's confidence for life. And these issues only deepen in the late teens. Hence, the need for the right information and support, paving the way for, paving the way to growing into the right adults. I hope you're still following me and you're still here. Please, if you're still here, let me know in the chat box. Just say something, drop a smiley. Just let me know that.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Right. So how do we get around this? This is where the parent comes in. Flex your muscle. This is where a parent comes in. This is an opportunity. This is where parents come. You can take the opportunity. The preteen stage is an opportunity. Why is it an opportunity? Because it's in. Please, can we mute? Mrs. Saiwo Kende, please, can we mute? Can everybody be muted? Thank you. So this is the opportunity parents have. Do you know why it's an opportunity? Because it's a new phase. Everybody, your child is new. They've never been to secondary school. It's almost like you have a clean slate, fresh start. It's the opportunity for parents. It is also the opportunity for schools to create a vision, create expectation. This is where leadership comes in. This is where leadership comes in. You take the opportunity to influence and shape. Set up a system, sorry about that, set up a system for parenting long haul. There is a parenting for short haul, there is a parenting for long haul. When you choose, okay, we'll get that. And the opportunity to equip your preteen. Equip your preteen before they get there. Let them have the tools. The system is also important because it is a system that allows you to audit as you go. It is a system that allows you to audit, that allows you to measure. It's also the system that helps you as a busy parent, if you are one. Right. So this is the opportunity. But unfortunately, not all parents take this opportunity. Why? They make these assumptions and mistakes. And I'm going to share it in a short while. The first assumption that many parents make is that they think their child is little. And I agree with you. There was a picture, I saw my friend's child. She just finished year 6. The child is so tiny like this. Very tiny. And so you would think that, this child is a little one, it's my baby. It's my baby. So you just think the child is a baby. Whereas what you don't understand is that by default, your child is a sponge. I will get to that. Second mistake is that because you think your child is still little, you think that the big conversations can wait. When my child gets to age 13, we'll talk about it. When she sees her first period, we'll talk about it. Let her go. Let's even go and say, you're trying to body scale, like, big conversations can wait. What we do when big conversations wait is that we pass the baton to another person to have it, because these conversations are things that your child every day engages with. It is their reality. Another mistake and assumption that parents make my slide is now gone. Okay. Another assumption and a mistake is that they feel that their preteen is inherently good. And I know some of us are in that position. You see a child and the child is a good child. She's a Christian, she's a good child. And because we think a child is a good child, we feel that there is no need to just touch it. So we feel the child is a good child. Is obedient, is quiet. And because of that, we don't see the need. My system is developing a brain of its own. Oh my God. Okay. So my system is hanging, but I can go on without it. So That's another thing. So that's the fourth one. We think the child is inherently good. Is inherently good. The last mistake that parents make is that they feel the fourth one is that they feel that they can control everything. Uh, okay, so just follow me. I know my slide. They feel that they can control everything. So, and that's what parents, we feel that, oh, when your child misbehave, you are going to call your child to order when that time comes. So you feel that you control everything. And it's an illusion that we control everything, that we can control everything. I'll tell us why shortly. The fifth assumption we make is that we think that academic achievement suffices. So your child does very well, and because of that, you don't have any worry in the world. Your child was the best results. In fact, your child won a scholarship, and so all you think that, oh, let this child just move to the next phase. Let the child just move to the next phase. We are not even thinking of anything. Now the child is a smart child. The child reads a lot, and you think academic achievement suffices, or what they need now, they don't have any problems. They don't have any worry. Oh, it's just academic. Let them just read and pass. That is so an assumption. It's so a myth, and it sets us on it puts us in a trap, an oversight trap that makes many parents now have a difficult parenting relationship. Now think about it. Your child is going through a confidence breakdown. Somebody is chipping down your child's confidence in school. You don't know about it because you don't even believe it exists. Or your child is telling you, you think that it's not a big deal. How are you not setting yourself for a difficult relationship? Because your child doesn't see you as their go-to person anymore. Now that child will struggle. This oversight, when we assume our children are inherently good, academics is just enough. Oh, don't worry, you are a controller, you're an African parent. Oh, you feel like my child is too little. Or you say the conversations can wait. This is what happens. Your child goes into a system that they are visibly struggling. Why? Because they are not equipped. You are living based on our assumptions. You are living in a bubble. And now they are caught up with different influences and vices. Let me tell you something. I see now that people say that, oh, don't give your child a phone until your child is 14, until your child is 15. That is so 2012. You know why? You don't need to give a child a phone anymore for your child to be technology exposed. My child does not have a phone. He will be 14 in 7 days. But he comes back from school and tells me, Mommy, Blossom taught me a TikTok dance. I don't have a TikTok account. I don't even think I've ever been there. But somebody has taught my son a TikTok dance. Children are exposed past a phone. So there is something, the gap missing is the gap that we will talk about now. When we have this oversight, we set ourselves on a difficult parenting journey. Parenting pain is deep. Is deep. When you have a child and you're asking yourself, who raised this child? When they have values that are not aligned with yours. Parents talk to me, and parenting pain is, I'm a parent myself. It is deep. Sometimes it takes skills, grace to know that it is a phase. Your child is not lost. She's just finding its way. So what do you want to do instead? Instead of believing the assumptions, instead of making those assumptions, believing the myth, setting yourself up, give as a reason, or as giving the oversight, what do you want to do instead? The first thing for a preteen is that you have to choose the right school. I'm going to talk about SEF a bit. I've worked with SEF. I've been to SEF a number of times, a minimum of 3 times. And SEF is one of those schools that I don't know why they get it. Let me tell you something. What I am doing now, it is very rare for schools to do this. If you The right school is very important. Why? The right school is the soil. Is one of the school is one of the most potent villages a parent has. The school will define your child. Write it down. And the best school is not automatically the right school. Choosing the right school is putting your child in a system that cultures is choosing your partner. Why? Because the school is your cheat code. Let me tell you something. If you choose the right school, you've almost done 60% of the work. Because your child spends a lot of time in the school. Those teachers are your partners. The school is your partner. It's the soil that the seed of your child grows in. No matter how viable a seed is, the soil in which it is planted has a big say in how, if it grows well, if it transforms, if it is fruitful or not. So year 7, and I know we've crossed that space. And for me, from where I stand, I know that Seth has that edge. Because I have had interactions with Seth and with the leadership of Seth. I'll stop there. Choosing the right school. So we have beat that, but we'll go on. Building a tailored parenting system that covers, you must have the right skills. You must have the right support system. And a support system is not your chef. When I ask busy parents, who is a support system? They say, oh, the person that cooking, I can't cook. So that's not a support system. Your support system, it is a system that helps you to bridge your parenting vision. It has to be tailored to you and your child. Your parenting system must be tailored to your child. By the age of 7, you will know that, oh, I have a shy child. My child is shy. My child doesn't mingle. My child is an environment. Your goal, your work as a parent, your role as a parent is to create a system that balances out the uniqueness of the child you're raising. It has to be a tailored parenting system. You have to have the right skills. You have to have the right strategy. You can read all the parenting books. If you do not tailor it, if it is not, the strategy is not tailored to your child, you are going to be frustrated. With a clear roadmap. The third one is that you have to equip your preteens for themselves. You have to set them up for ownership and responsibility. The fact that you are a great parent does not automatically mean that you are going to raise a great child. Why? I'm sorry to say that, but that's the reality. You know why? Children are born out of a system. It is a system that produces a child. Whoever a child engages with the most, the system your child engages with, it is a system that cultures and shapes your child the most. Transmitting values is not automatic, it's not a default setting. It takes a system to enforce that. And that's why these conversations are important. Do you know why this is important? You can choose the best and the right school for your child, but you cannot choose their seat or classmates. And that is why schools have to be strategic. Every May or January, we open our doors to people from different worlds. Our goal is to become a system that sieves, not a sponge. And that is who a child is. Every child is a sponge. A preteen, I mean, is a sponge. They become the system. Trust me. They become a system you put them. I remember a day, I think it was 2 years ago, when my son, I think it was talking with the neighbors, and all of a sudden, the kind of song he was singing, I said, the brother came to report him. Thank God for parenting right. See, I see the song my brother is singing. He doesn't do anything. is a first timer. Every child is a first timer. A teenager is a first. They've never been children before. They've never gone to secondary school before. It is you that know that something is wrong. They are first timers. They are sponges. They soak in the environment, and guess what? They don't just soak in, they become the environment. Year 7. They become the environment. What is the goal? The goal is that every child should have a sieve in their minds. They should have a sieve that can separate, and this is a process. It takes a process to instill a filter in your child's mind so that they can separate right from wrong. It is a system. If you do not engage this thing now, you will set yourself up for a difficult parenting journey. Parenting is taking a new phase. It is not about just the parent, and it's not a culture of fear. It's not about, oh, you are afraid and you now use fear, you now use control. No, it doesn't work. This is a trick that your child by himself come into ownership of their own values so that they can engage their internal filter, their internal compass. The test of great parenting is release. The day you can release your child to say that this child has been taught, the compass has been implemented, the child can decipher, the child has a fear of God, the child has a fear, the sense of judgment, the differing good from evil, and you can release that child. That is the test of your parenting. The test of a child's growth is that they come into ownership of who they are, so that no matter where they go to, they can say no, they can say yes, they can stand by their value. This is the journey that we are going on. That we take our children from being sponges, that we take our school system from being sponges where everything goes, where we just focus on certain things, and we create a cancerous environment because we are not optimizing our school system enough. Our goal as parents is ownership, and you have to have your child has to have a filter system or a sieve system. Now, this is the reality. Now, this slide is one of the slides I used for one of my programs. I run a particular program for busy executives, and this slide was there. Let me tell you the reality. As your child becomes a teenager, your power and your position of control diminishes. There is nothing you can do about it. It diminishes. But this is where you can come to if you have done a great job. You will move from control, not that you are not still in control, you have a level of control, but you will now come to a place called influence. When you do a great job as a parent, your child will come to you because now they see you as someone they look up to. You have built the right system. Now you now have influence, but influence takes structure, substance. You have to be a person of value. It takes you having the right skills and a huge dose of connection. Now, like I said, this particular slide is from one of my other programs, so it may look a bit different, but I just put it here to say that control over time will diminish. That's why you can talk to a teenager and you will tell your teenager, what if you tell a 5-year-old, tell me what happened, your 5-year-old will tell you, even your 8-year-old will tell you, but your 15-year-old, excuse me, if they don't want to tell you, they can't tell you, and there is nothing you can do about it. Some things that happen as a teenager, you will never know if your child doesn't want to tell you. But that's where control reduces, but influences increases. Now, I'm coming to the end of my slide, and I want us to recap. And what have you heard me say? Do you want your means? Do you want to talk? What have we said all the whole time? And this is what I've really said. I have just said that the preteen years are very important years, and that the reality is that our children are transiting, they are going through changes. These changes, is it doesn't have anything to do with your child, it is by default, it is something that will happen. Your child is going to come to that stage where they earn power, and we need to take the right action, simple and short. I just want you to have a sense of what happens in your preteen world. Teenage, we've not come to teenage, this one is preteen. Your preteen world, and how you as your parent can position yourself in a way that you can set your child for success. And this is the head start. So what does equipping your parent entail? What can I do right? And this is where the 10 going on 13 program and community comes in. Remember, I told you at the beginning that in 2019, when I was having one of my workshops with my girls, they told me about the things that happened in school. It was like fifth trick to me. Do you know what used to happen then? That boys would throw mirror on the floor just to see a girl's underwear. They were telling me these things. I was shocked. They were telling me these things that you know how all these movies that a boy will just run into a girl, just run into a girl. The books will now drop, and they will now be picking. In my head, I was like, in school, yes, they were telling me all sorts. It was after that time I started 10 going on 13, and 10 going on 13 is a transition course, because I believe that children are transiting environments, they are transiting changes in their body, and they need to have the tools that they need to have the right tools to navigate this phase. And that's what 10 going on 13. So in the next 3 minutes, I'm just going to tell you about that, and I will hand over to Mrs. Dada, or rather we'll take questions. So 10 going on going 13, I'm going to tell you about it. We have models, 6 models. This model is supposed to be 7, but we teach the 7th one later on, because of the time, the summertime. The 6 preteen approved models, life-changing content that is released, is not over 12 weeks, it's released during summer. We have it over 6 weeks, over summer, but later on in we sometimes it runs for 12 weeks, but for this it's going to run just through summer. We have 6 live review sessions, excuse me. So your children have access to videos, and I wish I could go into where the video setting, it has been broken down. Teenagers have listened to it. Teenagers have told us, oh my god, I didn't know I would like it, but when I listened to the video, it was so interesting. So they have videos, 6 models, but very a lot. They're going to learn about friendship, friendship fix, how to work on your friendship, fix it, or how to end friendship. You're going to have social skills, how to say no, how to deal with bullying. That was such a big one for me, because my son, if you can see my son, if you remember the picture I showed you about my son is on the bigger side, if you get what I mean. And when he went to school from year 5, teachers started even bullying him. They started calling him names. And I remember that this course prepared him. When he went to secondary school, when he got in secondary school, he chose to ignore. And I was just, there are three ways to deal with bullying. The first way is you ignore. So there are some things you overlook. Sometimes the second one is that you confront, and all of them have there are things, there are conditions for that. And the other one is to report. So there are 3 different ways that we teach them, you know. So let me go back to my slide. So we have the videos, the children watch the videos, then they come in for live review sessions every week, once a week. They come into the class. I almost like I'm teaching the session again. They have some games in class. We ask questions, you know, we make it lively. Everything that teenagers, preteens need, you know, to pump them up is in the class. Right. So after the sessions, we have After the summertime, they are live support sessions. So after the course, the children come into class. We still now ask them, how is your new school, how are you doing, just to check in on them, that the lessons are applicable or they're applying it. Then after that, of course, it's a community that is safe for support. We have worksheets and take home assignments with parenting engagement. So in this particular course, you will have engagement with your children. Your children will go back home and they will tell you, okay, this is the assignment. So one of the assignments is like, you're going to tell your child what it was like being a teenager and what were the values that were important to you. The reason why we do this is that we want you to start having these important conversations. Some parents just don't know how to start it, so we will instigate those conversations, and it's that time you really dive in. Of course, it's a small size fun class and engaging class. If we have big numbers, we break them into groups because everybody must have their names called. They must feel safe, they must play. See, I am not the preteens. Sometimes I'm teaching them, they will just raise up their hand and they will just start talking, and I'll keep quiet and I'll listen to them, because one of my goals is to give you your power of voice. I want you to talk. It doesn't mean that it is structureless, but there is a time to implement structure and there is a time to allow a child find their voice. And these are the things that make the classes different, because the children just feel safe. I remember a particular girl that says that she found her comfort and confidence in her classes. I think we get that a lot. So clear tools that help your child navigate the preteen, teen years and years above. They have access to me and guest mentors. We have doctors, we have some experts, and we also bring in secondary school students that will just help them as well and talk to them about life in secondary school. Then after that, there is a parent feedback session. I will tell you about your child if your child is in my class. So there's a parent feedback session. The parents come back. I will tell you, these are the things we noticed. This is what it was in class. These are the things I think you should work on. And we also share some free resources. Then during midterm, we have a check-in. So after midterm, because we want to ask them questions, and because we know that some children are in boarding school, some children are in day school, some children don't even know how to start some conversations with their parents. When they come for the midterm, we check their confidence, we check their assignments, we check their grades, we check the lessons that they've taught, and just to see where their pulse is at. Then there is also the end of term. So it's like a 6-month program, 6-month access. And honestly, I'm looking forward to working on something with Seth. Yeah, and for the people in Lagos, conditions apply. We also have hangout sessions sometimes if the parents say yes. So this is what 10 going on 13 looks like. It's as colorful as this. Several lessons, several courses, several videos that your child have access to for 6 months, so they can always learn, go back, learn, go back. For 6 months they have access to all the resources, the video recordings. Module 1 to 7, for module 1 to 6, we are adding the 7th one later on during their check-ins. Finding yourself, it's time for big changes. Please pardon that. Building your values and identity. In my corner, that's where we talk about friendships, labeling relationships, right? 5, we talk about social skills for teens. That's where we talk about how to say no, we talk about bullying, we talk about interactions, then we talk about navigating social media and technology in the 6th. These are the 6 models that we have, the course outline. I'm going to drop a link in the chat box where you can see more about the course, because there's a page on it, and I want to quickly give an offer. I have permission to do this from school. So the program ideally is 85,500. It's actually 100,000. The 6-month program is actually 100,000, but we are giving it a good price for SEF at 85,500 for the 6-month program. But I am I want to give it at 75,000 now. So in the next, I will say maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes, I'm going to drop a link. Any parent that is game on this, there will be, I'll just drop either a link on account, and we can make the deposit if you feel that your child needs this. Now, I think that's it. So I want to take questions and answers, and I want to maybe take us back to some of the things I've said. And this is why this course, I created this course, simple and short, because you need to give your child the tools themselves. Why? You're not going to be there every time. You can't choose your child's, you can choose your child's school, you can't choose your classmate. You're never going to be there every time. So you need to trust that I have chosen the right school. 2, I have a parenting system. That's another program entirely for parents before 13. It's the name of the course. That's another. A parent must do their bit. But the third one is that you must be sure that you have given your child the tools so that enables them to move from being a sponge to a filter or a sieve.